Circus. I was set up from eternity, and of old, before the earth was made. The depths were not as yet, and I was already conceived. Neither had the fountains of waters as yet sprung out. The mountains, with their huge bulk, had not yet been established. Before the hills, I was brought forth. He had not yet made the earth, nor the rivers, nor the poles of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. Sometimes we go on a search and do not know what we are looking for until we come again to our beginning. In the beginning of time, to say the least, there were the compasses. Whirling in void, their feet traced out beginnings and endings, beginning and end in a single line. Wisdom danced also in circles, for these were her kingdom. The sun spun, worlds whirled, the seasons came round, and all things went their rounds. But in the beginning and end were in one. And in the beginning was love. Love made a sphere. All things grew within it. The sphere then encompassed beginnings and endings. Beginning and end. Love had a compass whose whirling dance traced out a sphere of love in the void. In the center thereof rose a fountain. Fields were set for the circus, stars for shows, before ever elephant lumbered, or tent rose. Morning. The morning stars. Have you seen my circus? Have you known such a thing? Did you get up in the early morning and see the wagons pull into town? Did you see them occupy the field? Were you there when it was set up? Did you see the cookhouse set up in dark by lantern light? Did you see them build a fire and sit around it, smoking and talking quietly? As the first rays of dawn came, did you see them roll in blankets and go to sleep? A little sleep, until time came to unroll the canvas, raise the tent, draw and carry water for the men and animals. Were you there when the animals came forth, the great lumbering elephants, to drag the poles and unroll the canvas? Were you there when the morning moved over the grasses? Were you there when the sun looked through dark bars of clouds at the men who slept by the cookhouse fire? Did you see the cold morning wind nip at their blankets? Did you see the morning star twinkle in the firmament? Have you heard the voices of the men's low muttering? Have you heard their laughter around the cookhouse fire? When the morning stars threw down their spears and watered heaven, have you looked at spheres of dew on spears of grass? Have you watched the light of a star through a world of dew? Have you seen the morning move over the grasses, and to each leaf the morning is present? Were you there when we stretched out the line, when we rolled out the sky, when we set up the firmament? Were you there when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Morning is quiet over the field. Clouds hang over it, close and full. The song of the morning goes up from the grass. The sun receives and returns it to clouds, bending over the morning field, full of the song of the grass. In a green straw hat, very gentle and shy, Tina watches the morning. Belmonte's child. Her hair is brown and shining, straight. She loves to go out into her province. Air is summer blue, full of life, eager to carry light and color. This is the day when people are coming slowly to the outskirts of town, when over the field they come to walk in the grass where the stakes are driven, rust and dew. They stand in the morning field, watching. See him drag that chain. Look how he pulls it. At work in loose pajamas, elephants twist their trunks around the tent poles, lifting lightly. Their faces and hides are finely lined, maps of a land of mountains and rivers. They move about in the tall grass, lifting their great scalloped feet. The men are on hand as witnesses. Look at the camel. Molting, I guess. There must be something wrong with it. Inwardly, she weeps. The big, stuffed mat the leapers land on sits on the field. The weary lie on it, like Romans, or sit on it upright, pensively on edge, like big-headed Bugungi, thinking about his tea. I go downtown to see the dentist every day, every day, every day a different town. The festivity of blooms on Timothy grass. Water-filled young shoots up from the early ground aspiring, up in the early morning, playing. They are wet with water of sky, sprinkled by clouds, standing over shoulder, peering at light on the field. Dart of birds, and look here, walkers walking in sky water. Drops on grass, hanging colors, light of sun in many colors, all the colors. And the drop stands on the Timothy grass, wondering, will I fall to earth, or will I rise to heaven? Up every day for the festival. Today is the festival of walkers, walking. Out of all the round year, today, the day of its coming. We, the innocent grasses, stand on tiptoes, over-shouldering each other, looking toward the circled center, middle of the field, where they stretch the skyworks. Birds dart over us, pulling shadows through us. Quietly, the field waited. She would be blessed with the wonder of creation. Workers are arrived from another world. Like visiting angels, they speak their own language and put their questioners off with jokes, rough trousers, blue denim shirts, flesh red from the elements. Their eyes look far back and infinitely on. They penetrate and do not appraise, beholding all things before them with the innocence of light. Strange visitors, when they meet, they fall to laughter. Their glances flash together like water in sunlight. These are the ones who tug at the ropes and put up the tents, roustabouts with chants and hammers, who drive the stakes that hold in place the billowing firmament. Bagungi says, "I'll take your suitcase," until Mogador wakes up. Stubby, bow-legged, he rocks from side to side, a tug and a swell, as he crosses the field, holding the bag an inch above the ground. He opens the wide door of the trailer, stands on tiptoes, swings the suitcase into the dark. It'll be all right, till Mogador wakes up. He comes back, leaving the door ajar. The ground of the field is rich and growing. But who will eat the grass? Horses, camels, zebras. A song rises up from the ground, herbs from the field. Who will watch the green grass growing? Who will hear the song of earth? Children who come to see the tent set up in the morning. 3 masts stand on a sea of canvas. Rope line loops from one to another, drops in a gentle arc to the ground. Bagungi swings his hand toward the gesture in midair. Look, the big top. Who stretches forth the canopy of morning? Knowing the wonder to be born of her, hoping to bring forth a sun, a tree, in whose laughing and delicate shade the children of innocence could rejoice. The field waited. We have seen all the days of creation in one day. This is the day of the waking dawn, and all over the field, the people are moving. They are coming to praise the Lord. And it is now the first day of creation. We were there on that day, and we heard him say, "Let there be light." And we heard him say, "Let firmament be, and water, and dry land, herbs, creeping things, cattle, and men." We were there in the beginning, for we were there in the morning, and we saw the rising of the tent, and we have known how it was in the beginning. We have known the creation of the firmament, and of the water, and of the dry land, and of the creatures that moved in the deep, and of the creatures that moved on land, and the creation of men, the waking of acrobats. We have known these things from the beginning of the morning, for we woke early. We rose and came to the field. They lie in slumber late, the acrobats. They sleep and do not know the sun is up. Nor does the Lord wake them, nor do the sun's rays touch them. And the Lord who has chosen them, the Lord who created them, leaves them in slumber until it is time. Slowly, slowly, his hand upon the morning's lyre makes a music in their sleeping, and they turn, and turning, wonder, eyes awake to light of morning. They rise, dismounting from their beds. They rise and hear the light airs playing, songs of praise unto the Lord. The circus is a song of praise unto the Lord. The acrobats, his chosen people, rejoice forever in his love. Mogador comes down the field. There he is. He walks the earth like a turning ball, knowing and rejoicing in his sense of balance. He delights in the fulcrums and levers, teeterboards, trampolines, high wires, swings, the nets, ropes, and ring curbs of the natural universe. Beneath his feet, the world is buoyant, thin and alive as a bounding rope. He stands on it, poised, a gyroscope on the rim of a glass, sustained by the whirling of an inner wheel. He steps through the drum of light and air, his hand held forth. The moment is a sphere, moving with Mogador. Afternoon. Acrobats' song. Who is it for whom we now perform? Cavorting on wire, for whom does the boy, climbing the ladder, balance and whirl? For whom, seen or unseen, in a shield of light? Seen or unseen, in a shield of light, at the tent top, where rays stream in, watching the pinwheel turns of the players, dancing in light. Lady, we are thy acrobats, jugglers, tumblers, walking on wire, dancing on air, swinging on the high trapeze. We are thy children, flying in the air of that smile, rejoicing in light. Lady, we perform before thee, walking to joyous discipline, a thin thread of courage, a slim, high wire of dependence over abysses. What do we know of the way of our walking? Only this step, this movement, gone as we name it. Here at the thin rim of the world, we turn for Our Lady, who holds us lightly. We leave the wire, leave the line, vanish into light. The tent is soaked in afternoon light, filled with sound. Pilgrims wander in at the wide door, full of wonder. The expanse of it. Waving walls, tiers of seats. Can this have been built in one day? They enter, parents guiding. They have seen more places. Yet look, a child is leading. Filled with wonder, the tent is strange. Circus horses and circus men. Clowns are from a far-off land. The tent shuts out the wind and heat, the dust and rain, and locks light in. Through the wide door, they roll like marbles, first a few, and later many. Tent flap leads to the field beyond. Performers cross. Their plumed hats shake. Their red and gold capes billow in the wind. The family, running lightly into the ring, lead one horse with them and leave two others standing in the track. There is a flourish of trumpets. The Christianis approach the center of the ring, raise their hands, smile, and bow. The music starts again. The horse trots rhythmically around the ring. 5 Christianis stand in a row, marking time, in rhythm with the hoofbeats. At a signal from Lucio, they run across the ring to meet the horse when he comes around. They fork jump as he passes and land, all sitting on his back. Applause. The horse runs halfway around. The riders, relaxed, lift their hands to show how easily it is done. Then they leap off. Belmonte first, Corky, Hortense, Mogador, and Oscar. Once more, raise their hands and smile. Music again. The horse starts around, and the boys, Belmonte, Mogador, Oscar, make jumps to his back, land standing with arms upraised, leaping separately but riding together. As they come around, Lucio, in baggy pants, oversized jacket, and battered hat, steps out in front. The boys shout, "Hey, get out of the way." Lucio doesn't. The boys jump down from the horse. "Get out of the way. What are you, drunk?" Lucio shrugs, walks over to the ring, sits down, and begins to ponder. Again, music. The boys begin their run to the horse. When Lucio slides across the ring, somersaults through the horse's legs, over the ring curb, onto the track. He tries again from outside the ring, somersaults through the flying hooves, into the ring. Picking up a bamboo pole, he vaults magnificently to the horse's back. Trembling, he lands, standing on one foot, flailing his arms, sure to topple. Shouts. At last he finds it, the point of balance. Secure, both feet planted firmly, he leans back, thumbs in his pockets, never a doubt in his mind. He pulls a newspaper from his hip pocket, slaps it open, begins to read, then turning, still reading, he takes a huge step off the horse's tail, like an old man descending from a bus. Penelope and Mogador. One time, Penelope, the tightrope walker, asked Mogador how he was able to land so gracefully after he did a somersault on horseback. Mogador said, "It is like a wind that surrounds me, or a dark cloud, and I am in it, and it belongs to me, and it gives me the power to do these things." And Penelope said, "Oh, so that is it." And Mogador said, "I believe so." The next day in the ring, Mogador leaped up onto the horse. He sat on it sideways and jogged halfway around the ring. Then he stood up on the horse's back with a single leap. He rode around, balancing lightly in time to the music. He did a split jump, touching his toes with his hands. He did a couple of entrechats, braiding his legs in midair like a dancer. Then Oscar threw him a hoop. Mogador tossed it up in the air and spun it. He caught it, leapt up, and did a somersault through it. He thought, "I am a flame, a dark cloud, a bird. I will land like spring rain on a mountain lake for the delight of Penelope, the tightrope walker." He landed on one foot, lost his balance, waved his arms wildly, and fell off the horse. He looked at Penelope, leapt up again, did a quick entrechat, and Oscar tossed him the hoop. He spun it into the air and caught it, and he thought, "It is like a dark cloud, and I am in it. It belongs to me, and it gives me the power to do these things." He landed on one foot, lost his balance, waved his arms wildly, and fell off the horse. Penelope, the tightrope walker, looked very calm. Mogador leapt up on the horse again. Oscar frowned and tossed him the hoop. He threw it into the air and caught it, leapt up, and did a somersault through it. He thought, "I am a bird and will land like a bird." He landed on one foot, lost his balance, waved his arms wildly, and fell off the horse. Now in the Cristiani family, when you fall off 3 times, they grab you by one ear and bend you over, and one of the brothers kicks you. And that is what they did to Mogador. Then the circus band started playing again. And Mogador looked at Penelope. Then he looked at the horse and flicked his ear with his hand. He jumped up on the horse and landed smartly. He stood up in one jump and caught the hoop. Then he did a somersault through it. He didn't think anything. He just did a somersault and landed with 2 feet on the horse's back. Then he rode halfway around the ring and got off with a beautiful scissors leap. Penelope applauded, and clasping her hands overhead, shook them like a boxer. Mogador looked at her, then back at the horse, and with a gesture of 2 arms, he said, "It was nothing." La Louisa. Her toes almost touch the top of the tent. She lies out, balanced at the arch of her back. Her toes are pointed. Her long, slim legs stretch before her. Her waist is taut. Her whole body is semi-relaxed. Her arms lie out gracefully behind her head. Her long hair rides behind her as she swings forward. There's a flower in her hair. It hugs her head as she swings back and forth, back and forth. Now she drops, head first, her hair and the flower tumbling toward the ground. Look away. Precipito volissimo volmente. She's caught herself. Is hanging by her feet. She swings back and forth, her back beautifully arched, her hands and fingers poised, the flower riding in her long hair. She pulls herself up, hangs by her hands, grasps the rope between her legs, slides down it to the ground, bows graciously, accepts applause with lifted arm, and leaves the ring. Hortense. Hortense stands on one end of a teeterboard. Mogador and Belmonte, from the height of 2 tables, jump down and land on the other end. Hortense flips into the air, does a 2.5 turn, and lands neatly in a high chair, relaxed as a rag doll, gracious as a queen, looking as though she had been there all afternoon. She lolls a moment in the chair, gives the audience a glance and a beautiful smile. Then she daintily dismounts into her brother's arms, lifts her right hand, curtsies on tiptoes, and disappears. Our dreams have tamed the lions, have made pathways in the jungle, peaceful lakes. They have built new Edens, ever sweet and ever changing. By day, from town to town, we carry Eden in our tents and bring its wonders to the children who have lost their dream of home. Evening. are intertwined in golden light, moving in a heavy sea of memory. They come, the beautiful ones, with evening smiles, heavy-lidded people, dark of hair and gentle of aspect, whose eyes are portals to a land of dusk. Their melancholy holds me now, sadness of princes and the sons of princes, the melancholy gaze of those I have not seen since childhood. For childhood was full of wonder, full of visions. The boy on horseback, either in a dream or on the plain, approaching. The two gypsy girls who stood together and asked the mysterious question. Truth and the dream so mingled in their eyes, I could not tell which of the two had spoken. Once more now, they are with me, golden ones, living their dream in long afternoons of sunlight, riding their caravans in the wakeful nights. After supper light on fields, prairie, long yellow light on fields aspiring, fields looking up, grass singing, high grass singing, yellow light on green grass growing, the wide round horizon, the long tired light on the field, and the green grass high yearning up, aspiring to heaven, to the domed sky heaven, the grass growing up to the sky, and the light dying, the sun wearily, sleepily, smiling, lying down, with a sighing song, a long, smiling sigh over the fields, and the grass rising, thin prayer rising, tufted to the air above the field, to the sky, the dome sky, thin, made of light air, the dome above the field, and the field breathing, the air full, rich, golden grass, smelling sweet, and tired, with sun dying, sun lying down, dying down, in west. The sunset city trembled with fire. The air trembled in fiery light. A fiery clarity stretched west across the walks. The tongues of air licked up the building sides. The wings of fire hovered over the churches and houses, steeples and stores of the wide, flat city that stretched to the sea. The walk, like a drum, was stretched as though over the hollow kettle of ground. The hollow darkness under the walk resounded as he walked toward the sunset, and the street glowed like a drum in firelight. Like a drum skin glowed the walk and road as he walked toward the light, walked slowly toward the light through the fiery clarity of the burning air, now cooled with evening as sun set. Walls of glass reflected the fire of sun, took fire from it, were kindled and blazed bright. So, as he walked down the drum-skin city. He was walled in fire and walked toward fire. And in the fire, dark caverns were, dark doorways in the walls of fire, portals in the panes of brass, where these men sat on folding camp chairs, waiting while the world went round. Bald men sat on folding camp chairs, waiting while the world went round. Their drum-skin heads took fire from the sun, kindled and blazed were copper drums, brass helmets glowing above the drum-skin walks. Each in his dark portal surrounded, tipped on his camp stool, in door's darkness, brass accent in the walls of glass. In the fiery city, they sat on camp stools, waiting while the world went round. This is our camp, our moving city. Each day we set the show up, juggler, calm amid currents, riding the world, joggled but slightly, as in a howdah, on the gray, wrinkled earth. We ride, as on elephants' head. Dust no one stirred till the circus came. It hangs like a veil. Dust of the earth riding the twilight, silently moving. Each sphere, each molecule riding the air in wakening twilight, could whirling turn to earth, to plants, support the verdure of creation, the moving animals and men, could raise from its own green growing white clouds and dark, alive with lightning, could ripple with seas, flow with rivers, reflect the waters, the mountain and sky. But where does the first mote come from? The first gliding sphere. The midway. The paintings on the sideshow walls, the banners and signs, are dark and strange. Look at the two-headed boy, the armless wonder, the lion tamer, the Harlem band, the seal boy, the sword swallower, fire eater, tattooed woman, snake charmer, and the man who throws knives at his wife. In the darkening twilight, the last of sunset, banners, heraldic and strange. Beowulf lives here, ogres inside, but gay, strange music. Come in and look. Stand considering on the midway. Soon you will come in and look. Snake charmer. You see this snake? He looks terrible, don't he? But in the Southwest, where I come from, we got him like cats, to kill mice. She strokes his head, folds him gently, and puts him back in the box. Picking out a larger one, she holds it aloft in both arms. This here is the same kind of snake, she says, only bigger. Dog act. Girl in white 10-gallon hat, jeweled band, white shirt, jeweled sleeves, white gauntlets, jeweled with flowers and stars, skirt, white doeskin, fringed, spurred and jeweled, high-heeled boots, white with red interior, striding in a wash of small white dogs, yapping, prancing, barrel walking, ladder climbing, table mounting, somersaulting, hopping at her hissed command through tiny, shiny hoops. Colonel Angus. I don't remember where he lived out there, said the colonel. I think it was, that lion. It was time for him to go on. The lion knew it and roared. The colonel went into the small cage carrying a folding chair and a whip. The lion, big and dusty, snarled and pawed at him. Then he roared. Angus snapped the whip. The lion crouched and pounced. Apparently alarmed, the trainer dropped his chair, scurried from the cage, slipped through the steel door, and sprung it behind him. The audience was impressed. The lion, furious, was left standing with his paws against the door. I think it was Pasadena, said the colonel, coming lightly down the steps. Acrobat, about to enter. Star of the bareback riding act, dressed in a dark red, high-collared cape, black-browed, waiting with the others to go in. To enter the bright yellow glare of the tent. He stood on an island, self-absorbed. At 21, there was trouble in his universe. Stars were falling. Planets made their rounds with grating axles. The crown of stars in blackness was awry. Clouds were rising. Thunder rumbled. He was alone, nobly troubled, waiting a moment. He waited with challenge, young and in solitude, mourning inwardly, attentive to the black, fiery current in his mind. He would not be comforted. Swift water, falling darkness. He alone could hear it. Hoarded the sound, pulled his cape around it. Bitter and intense, but it was his. Youthful secret, black and smoldering. Not of the crowd. It was his private woe, and being private, prized. The Christianis. Now, in telling the story of the Christianis, their early beginning and long ago birth, and their rising from earth to brightness of sunlight, we tell of creation and glory, of rising and fall, and again of the rising, where we are all risen, for each man redeemed is risen again. The spinning of the sun, the spinning of the world, the spun sun's span on the world in its spinning are all in the story from its beginning. And when it is spun, there shall be no unspinning. Mogador is running along with the horse. His eyes are serious, full of thought. His mouth is a little open as he runs and breathes. He is smiling a little. His lips are thin. As he runs, bending the knees, dancing lightly beside the horse, he is in step with the horse. They both land lightly. They spring both from the earth. Their movement is through the air. Their feet drop lightly to earth and push off from it. And as they rise and fall, rise, fly, and momentarily fall, their heads rise too and fall in regular rhythm. They rise, and the hair of the horse's mane clings to him, pointing to earth. They drop down, and each hair of the white, long mane remains in air. The boy's hair, too, dark silk, rides close as he rises, then rises in the air, falling lightly over his forehead as he drops to earth. They come around the ring. The boy runs on the inside. The horse trots along, close to the curb. The boy with his horse, as they turn in the ring, are boy and horse running in blue and green field. His hand is on the horse's back. The horse is to him, close as hand. They round the turn. The boy is out of sight. But now, behold, he flies above the horse, holding a strap at the shoulders. His feet fly out behind. His toes are together and pointed like closed scissors. Now he splits, sits riding bareback, pointing his toes to the ground, spinning beneath them. His arms are held in air, relaxed. He rides lightly, barely touching. His arms in air. Then he leaps up, and with a pirouette, begins his dance. What was begun as a run through the field is turned to ritual. Rastelli. Now the story of Rastelli is one they love to tell around the circus. He is a hero, not because his work was dangerous, but because he was excellent at it, and because he was excellent as a friend. He was good at juggling, at talking, at coffee, loving everyone. He died juggling for everyone. He died, Oscar said, in a low, secret voice, when he was 33, the age of our Lord. They loved Rastelli, and he loved them. their loves flamed together, a high blaze, ascending to the sun of being. Rastelli was a juggler and a kind of sun. His clubs and flames and hoops moved around him like planets, obeyed and waited his command. He moved all things according to their natures. They were ready when he found them, but he moved them according to their love. As dancers harmonize, the rising, falling planets mirrored his movements. Rising, falling, rotating, revolving, they spun on the axis of his desire. Clubs were at rest. He woke them and sent them spinning, from which again they flew, until flying and falling, spinning and standing a moment in midair, they seemed to love to obey his command, and even to dance with the juggler. Seeing the world was willing to dance, Rastelli fell in love with creation. Through the creation, with the Creator, and through the Creator, again with creation, and through the creation, the Lord. He loved the world and the things he juggled. He loved the people he juggled for. Clubs and hoops could answer his love. Even more could people. Lover and juggler, bearer of light, he lived and died in the center ring, dancing decorously, moving all things according to their nature. And there, before the Lord, he dances still. He is with us on the double somersault, the three high to the shoulders. He is with us on the Arab pirouette and the principal act on horseback. And in the long nights, riding the trucks between towns, Rastelli is with us. Companion, example, hero in the night of memory. He stood outside the horse truck, waiting for Mogador to come back, and he began to whistle. Across the field, the men had taken down the sides of the tent and were moving about in the dim light, under the top, picking up trunks, ropes, and equipment, and packing it away. He began to whistle a tune from the depths of his soul. He had never heard it before, but he recognized it. As a form of the song his soul had always been singing. A song he had been singing since the beginning of the world, a song of return. It was as though he stood in a dark corner of the universe and whistled softly between his teeth, and the far stars were attentive, as though he whistled, and waves far off could hear it, as though he had discovered a strain at least of the night song of the world. By day, I have circled like the sun. I have leapt like fire. At night, I am a wise man in his palanquin. By day, I am a juggler's torch, whirling brightly. Have you known such a thing? That men and animals, light and air, graceful acrobats and musicians could come together in a single place, occupy a field by night, set up their tents in the early morning, perform their wonders in the afternoon, wheel in the light of their lamps at night. Have you seen the circus steal away, leaving the field of wonders darkened, leaving the air where the tent stood empty, silence and darkness where sight and sound were, living only in memory. Have you seen the noonday banners of this wedding